everyone. Today, let's dive into the pros and cons of purchasing a home prior to relocating to a new city. This topic is of crucial importance to anyone who is making a major move such as this. And I'd like to share some insight with you so that you can make the best possible decision for yourself. And further, if the Tri-Cities Washington is where you are relocating to, this video will address those considerations as they pertain to living in the Tri-Cities Washington. Joining me on my channel today that's dedicated to living in the Tri-Cities, the third largest metropolis in the state of Washington and also the heart of wine country. If you are interested at all in learning more about living in the Tri-Cities, housing, community, entertainment, recreation, anything, then make sure and subscribe below. And don't forget to ding the bell so you'll have notifications when new videos do come out. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of purchasing a home either before or after moving to your new location. So we'll start with purchasing a home before you move to that location. So obviously one of the advantages of purchasing that home is it's going to require you to do a lot of research and understanding the area as a whole and then the area that you hone in on and where you're interested in. In 2020, NAR, National Association of Realtors, reported that 97% of people find their dream home on the internet. Now that was 4 years ago, so what do you think that percentage probably is today? Taking the time beforehand to research the community, the neighborhood, and which city, in fact, that you want to live in the Tri-Cities is going to be of such powerful benefit to you. You will have that much more both interest and knowledge of what you're looking for in that. And later on in this video, I'm going to actually give you some criteria and guidelines to follow in creating what I like to call your inventory when you are choosing where you want to live, what home you need, what the requirements are, but we'll get to them. On the flip side, if you buy a home before you get there, it's kind of tough because you really don't get an opportunity to see the exact condition of the home because it rings out differently for everybody. You know, I know some people that they would value a split entry home a lot less than somebody else would. So it's all a matter of perception. So that makes it difficult when you are not available or there on site to really get a good feel of that. In addition to that, what's the vibe of the community that you're moving into? Is one that you seek? Is it one that you're going to thrive in? You know, those are the kind of things, those are some pros and cons about purchasing a home prior to. So another consideration in purchasing a home before you move is that it reduces the stress a lot so that when you get here, you're not dealing with where you're going to rent, what you're going to do with the furniture, do the kids have to start school? Essentially, you're just going to come in here and you're going to land where you live, making it that much more stress-free. However, again, what you might find is that the home that you selected based on your criteria of inventory, it may not be exactly what you thought it was going to be. And here you are in that home. So that's why I want to take you through what building your list of criteria is so that you really dot your I's and cross your T's. All right, so now let's talk about the pros and cons of purchasing a home after you move to your new location. By purchasing the home after, it gives you the opportunity to visit the home multiple times. I don't know about you, but when I bought a home, I'm always there visiting, peeking in the windows when it's empty, of course, and looking to see where my furniture is going to go or what furniture I need to buy, where I'm going to plant this or plant that, you know, all of those sort of things. But you can visit the home repeatedly and really fall in love with it and make it yours before you actually step foot across the threshold of it as your own home. One of the cons about purchasing a home after you move to the new location, as I mentioned earlier, you've got, you know, the whole concept of rentals and timing and leases and all that good stuff that becomes very stressful for people. I have dealt with that with my clients, and it's and in fact I've dealt with it for myself. It's not fun. But one of the cons to purchasing after you come is that, and also you're going to feel pressure and stress to find that home so that you can make sure that your timeline and your financial budgeting all tap out so that everything falls into place. So you've got a lot more detailing in terms of falling in place. Listen, we know that moving is already a management of details and lots of details, and they have strict timelines and strict deadlines. So we already know that. So purchasing after you've moved might not be the type of stress that you want when you get here, particularly if you're starting a new job or your kids are starting new schools. Another positive about purchasing after you move is that it gives you an opportunity to understand your communities, and not just the little communities that you might consider, but actually the whole area. So the whole Tri-Cities, and even outside of the Tri-Cities. Maybe you decide that when you come here, you live in a big city now, and here's an opportunity to have that little farm that you've always wanted to have a couple acres, have a horse, chickens, a big garden, whatever. There's a lot of, you can make those decisions once you get here because you'll have a better understanding of what the lay of the land is, okay? But again, we go back into the cons of that, and there's a time frame that is involved with that. And sometimes what happens is you come in on a temporary basis thinking that you'll figure it all out once you get here, but the problem is as you get here, you get all busy, you get caught up in things, and what you thought was important to you when you came now kind of like has flittered away, and you're now just either kind of maybe getting stuck in a rental or not really buying what it is you wanted to because you've lost the time frame. So let's get into that list of creating your inventory. And I want to start with budgeting and job opportunities. So, the thing that brings people to a new location is many times a job transfer. And if there's more than one income earner in your home, then many times that second income earner has to find a job either once they get here or find a job even from afar of where they might look. So what you kind of want to do is consider that part of it and put together, what you're doing is you're building your budget. And you need to build your budget on what's reasonable, like what kind of job you're going to have, how much money you're going to make when you get here versus where maybe you live. So the next consideration is going to be your transportation and commute. So the first thing is that I mentioned earlier that you're going to probably need a car, or one. You're going to really want a car, and you're going to need a car, honestly, to get around the Tri-Cities. It makes it easier for your access and whatnot. And if you're commuting to work, then you want to consider how much time you want to spend on the road getting to work. Now, I have mentioned before in other videos that it's about 20 minutes to get anywhere in the Tri-Cities. Well, that's true. It's not always the case in rush hour traffic, and it depends on where you're going. Something to think about is in choosing your community that you want to live, your city, then thus your community, because you're going to start with your city, then your community, is that commute time to work. Now, with that being said as well, will you be working from home? Will one or more people be working from home and require office space? Will that office space need to be private for Zoom meetings, or even will it need to have access to clients, where you have somebody come in and discuss whatever your business is? So think about that, because when you're purchasing your home, and I'm sure that's already on your list, but when you're purchasing your home, you want to make sure that you're considering the need for that space. Then finally, will you use public transportation? The next consideration is your proximity to friends and family. Are you retiring here? Do you need to have easy access to a grocery store or healthcare? Do you have friends here and you don't know anybody else but this couple friends that you want to be close to? I do know people that come from out of the country and they tend to want to live close to their friends. And depending on the environment you're coming from, I've lived in cities where I never owned a car because it didn't make any sense, and I used nothing but my feet, my bike, and public transportation. I understand leaning into that and actually enjoying it. The next topic that we want to talk about is community and lifestyle. And I just sort of touched on it. Would you like to live, let's say, in a planned community where you have the shops and the dining and the coffee shops, are all right there available, walking distance? You might live in an apartment above. Those options are available here in the Tri-Cities as well, and they're becoming more available as we continue to grow. Or are you like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, I want that 2 to 5 acres that I've always wanted so I can have a horse and chickens and a big garden and, play Farmer Joe. Or Joanne, and if that's important to you, that's something to consider, but really weigh it out in your mind, because once you buy something out in the country, you're in the country. Would you like to live on a golf course or part of a golf course clubhouse community? When you start looking at your homes, is what are their additional fees, like property taxes? Another is, are there HOA dues? And how strict are the HOAs? Are they something that you can abide by? But you really want to make sure that you hammered that out before you actually buy a home while you're still living out of state. And that's where you need eyes on the ground. Somebody that can be here making sure that those T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Is early morning exercise important to you? Because if you like to hike hills, which I love to hike hills, there are so many opportunities to live in a community here where you can walk right outside your door and be hiking up a hill, whether you're on the street or actually going to the dirt trail, like as in Badger Mountain. So all in all, this is a list, and you know, based on you and what you're looking for, this may or may not be comprehensive for you, but it's a good start to think about. You know, are you going to recreate yourself when you come to the Tri-Cities? Like I keep saying, are you coming from a really large metropolis area that you really don't drive a car, or somewhere where you there really wasn't a lot going on, and now all of a sudden maybe this is a bigger city? So think about it. Are you going to be redefining yourself? What sort of environment do you really see yourself looking in? Are you going to start some new hobbies? What might those hobbies be? As you can see, that we have a lot of opportunities for outdoors activities as well as community activities, and volunteer as well too. A fun fact I always like to share at the end of my video about Washington today is going to be that in the state of Washington, it is illegal to carry a concealed weapon greater than 6 feet long. So in closing, do your research. Use a channel like mine that is dedicated to living in the Tri-Cities and following the Tri-City housing market. Create your inventory list, your must-haves and your wants, and be honest with yourself, because a lot of times our must-haves, we are willing to budge on those when we find something else that we actually like more that wasn't even on the list. So know what your must-haves are. You know, I did it one time when I was buying a house in Salt Lake City for my family, and I had to go there and be the eyes on the ground for purchasing that house. It was just a trip in and a trip out for over a weekend. And our number one must-have was that we had to have a place to hang our big moose head. And that was non-negotiable. So we didn't even look at houses that had anything less than a 10-foot ceiling. Next, you want to get some eyes on the ground. That's me. And that's why my information is in the description below, so that you can reach out and we can have a phone call, a Zoom meeting, and connect with each other so that I can help to represent your needs, your desires, and your eyes here on the ground. And then the next thing is, come visit me. We will have honed in on the communities that you are interested in, and we're not going to be scatterbrained all around. We will tap into some local entertainment, dining experiences that you might be interested in, help you to find those in your area or what have you. We'll just make it fun. Thanks again for joining me. And if you are unfamiliar with the Tri-Cities area, I do have a map tour overview that is also a link in the description is below that you can go see that. It's in my library, so you'll also find it if you haven't watched it already. But it just basically gives you the layout of the land and commuting, getting around. So anyway, it's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a great day.